of workwear.
We start the mounting yard with horse number 1, which is Rolling Moss for Sean Mathrick and Jet Stanley.
He's very fit and he's a galloper that knows one way, and it's to go forward and run along. But his effort last start at Mornington was enormous. He bounded at the start, lost 5 lengths, and then went forward and sat 4 or 5 wide, joined in at the 600 metres and was still too tough. An outstanding effort. He does look like he has potential to get caught wide again today, but he's got great race fitness on side.
Number 2 is Omanika for the Chris Cowthorpe stables. Had 3 runs for the camp and he gets back and hits the line. I think there's been merit in all 3 runs.
Yeah, he was good too back at Geelong. He got back and ran on really well. I did think he set up quite well at Pakenham last start over the 1200 metres. It was a day where they were running on down the middle of the track. He mapped to get back, hunt the wide line and peel out and finish off. And he finished 3 lengths off them in a bunch finish. And I did expect him to be a little bit more explosive, but maybe getting back on top of the ground could be an advantage.
Number 3 is Pocket Change, currently around $12.
A good horse, a horse that will get out over the mile this preparation. So potentially the 1200 metres might be a little bit sharp, but he was good first up last preparation at Benalla over 1200 metres. He's had the 2 jump outs, was a distant 4th in the most recent of those over 800 metres at Mortlake. I would think that he'll get better over further, deeper into the prep.
Returning in nice enough order, is nice and healthy in the coat. This is actually the best I've seen him walk as well, which is a good positive, and he will improve fitness-wise with the race under his belt.
Huguenot is horse number 5, currently $26.
He's a horse that didn't have a great deal of first-up form, but I thought he'd run better than what he did first up at Pakenham, given the fact he jumped out so well in the lead-up. He led that day, he was quite keen, and he faded in the race where Omanika contested, won by Netanyahu. He's a horse that gets better over further and with the run under the belt. So staying at 1200 metres second up might be a negative, but he'll definitely improve today.
Number 6 is Inkslinger, one of the outsiders at $71.
Has been well beaten in 3 runs this preparation. If you go back to late last year, he was running some ratings that would be competitive, but he went around at triple figure odds at Moonee Valley last start and was well beaten. Would need to be a big improver.
One of the more fancied runners here is number 7 in Place of Gold, who comes back from what was definitely a stronger race during the Cup Carnival.
All 3 runs this preparation have been in strong races, behind I Am War, then behind Prowling at Sale, which turned out to be a red-hot form race, and then just didn't run out the mile at Flemington last start in the Country Series final. He's sharply back in trip from 1600 metres to 1200 metres. Generally, I'd like to see a little bit of a bigger gap between runs, but you know he'll be strong late.
He's trained on drastically. He's really improved since I saw him second up. He's much brighter in the coat. He's stronger and he's moving better. So I can definitely give him a push if you like his form.
Number 9 is your favourite in Vermentino. We haven't seen him for the best part of 12 months and he returns now as a gelding.
No, what the market does with him very late in the piece will tell the story. He was $1.40 on debut at Hamilton and walked in. The race rated quite well. As you mentioned, BZ, he returns gelded and his jump outs have been quite good. He was asked to extend in a recent Cranbourne jump out and the work was very nice. And Ben Mellum strikes at 28% for the Mara Eustace stable.
He's a horse I'm seeing for the first time, so I'm not sure what he presented like on debut, but he's a nice, strong type. He's got plenty of condition on him here today, so I'm going to think he needs a few runs under his belt to get as fit as a few of these who've got that race fitness.
Number 10 is Kaido from the Clint McDonald stable, coming back for the first run of his second preparation.
Contested a strong race over 1400 metres at Flemington prior to the break where he led. And he pulled up with some excuses, was tipped out. The 2 runs prior to that were quite good, and his second up effort over 1200 metres was a beauty. He's jumped out really well, and they've ridden him for a little bit of cover in the jump outs, but the winner of both the jump outs he's contested, Jigsaw and Commands the Field, have both run well first up, and they're through very fast heats, so I expect him to resume and improve it today.
Yeah, I really liked this horse last prep and he's returning in a terrific manner. He's very forward fitness-wise. He's got great strength and plenty of muscle definition behind. He's nice and strong through the shoulder as well, so it's a good parade.
Number 11 is Galaxy Ruler, having a first run for the Chris Highland stable.
And gets an informed Beau Mertens, who's found some form of late. He resumes off 208 days. He faded into a long last in the most recent of his Cranbourne jump outs, and off that work, I thought others were better.
Number 12 is Maldestro, one of the outsiders here at 100 to 1.
He's getting to his right trip. He's at his best where he gets to 1200 metres, can find the front and bowl along. He's had 3 runs at 1000 metres this preparation. And he does come through a decent rating race behind Charming D last start at Pakenham. 1200 metres does suit, but there is a stack of pressure in this race. So whether or not he can find the top remains to be seen.
What about number 13 in Gabstar, who resumes here? I think she's a mare that appreciates firmer footing, so we might see a bounce back here.
Yeah, absolutely. They scratched her from last week when the track come up a 6. She's had the extra week. Her jump outs at Cranbourne have been really nice. She's been hitting the line super. She was able to sprint well, second up last preparation over 1400 metres. She will be more effective as she gets out over in distance, but don't be surprised to see her charging late.
And the last horse we need to look at is the 14 in Star Leah, who's well supported here in the market with Damien Oliver to ride.
Yeah, well, the form out of her first race has stacked right up when she was beaten a length by All About Eve, who was a dominant winner at Ballarat on the weekend, and then a luckless run at Pakenham last start on a heavy 8 track over 1200 metres. She was no match for the winner, Tarzi Calling, who goes around later today. He was in the A ground and she was held up and forced to make her run a little bit closer to the fence, and the margin was very unfair. From barrier 4 today, Ollie takes the ride. With even luck, she'll be in the finish.
She looks well enough. She's a mare that naturally carries weight throughout a campaign, and you can see that over her midsection, but she's strong and moving well, and now that Ollie's gotten on board, she's really brightened up.
Second leg of the quaddie, we're seeing a good market move here for Place of Gold. $4 now into $3.30, so getting closer to favouritism. How did you sort this race out, Dave?
Cato's jumped out really well for his return. He's lightly raced. He's got plenty of upside and a little bit of value. I can spec him. Starlee was held up last start. She's ready to peak now, third up. Place of Gold is sharply back in trip, but 1200 metres is arguably his preferred distance. And Vermentino's had a year off the scene, but he's jumped out well and has some talent.
Place of Gold is the pick of the yard. I just love the fact that he's improved since when I saw him second up at this campaign, and fourth up he's set to peak. He couldn't look any better here. He was fit, he was strong, he was moving well, and he was really bright in the coat, and I just love how much improvement he's made since I saw him second up. So that's why Place of Gold has gone on top from Cato, who's returning to the races in really good order. I've always liked him as a type, and he's strong, he's covered in dapples, and he was moving really well. So Cato gets the tick, but Place of Gold, the pick of the yard.
And Place of Gold is the market mover, continues to firm now, the clear second elect all the way down to $3.30. If you do like the favourite Vermentino, don't be put off by the slight market drift. Has attracted support there at $3, but Place of Gold $3.90 into $3.30 on race day. Star Leah a $4.60 chance, Kaido at $7, but the top two in the betting have been the two punters' picks.
Not for that long.
I'm here with Dave Eustace, the co-trainer of number 9, Vermentino, who's returning off a decent spell. What was the reason for that?
He's been gelded, and yeah, we just wanted to give him plenty of time. So he's a horse we've always quite liked, but it's just taken a long time to really fully mature.
How has he appreciated the gelding operation? Has it switched him on?
He loved it. It's made it's certainly, he's just grown up an awful lot for it, and he had niggles and wasn't a great traveller, etc. So he's just a much more rounded horse now. Having said that, he's still got a bit of growing up to do. He's obviously only had the one start, so expect to see a little bit of greenness still, but he's a horse we think has got a nice future.
How forward is he coming off that long break?
Forward enough, without being fully screwed down, but yeah, he's forward enough. He's been in work a while, and there looks to be like there'll be 2 or 3 who'll really push forward here. He'll just hopefully nestle in behind the speed, and I think should quicken up nicely.
Good luck.
Cheers.
Great to hear the thoughts there of Dave Eustace regarding the favourite Vermentino, Dave. And interesting runner for mine in the mounting yard. He presented with plenty of improvement to come, and Dave Eustace was saying he's more switched on, but it might not be the physical improvement. He's still got a little bit of growing up to do mentally. What's he sort of shown you in his work leading into today? He's had 2 jump outs.
Yeah, I had a good chuckle at Dave saying that he loves the gelding operation as well. He's reported back, and we know the market usually loves gelding operations in terms of their success. He is a little bit soft late, Vermentino, but he is off a long spell, and there is high pressure in this race, Bella. So the fact that you mentioned he had some improvement to come from the yard, if he wins today, then look out. They've got a seriously talented galloper on his hand, because there is a lot of pressure in this race. So if he's to lead or hold a position, as you'd expect that they do from barrier 1, He's going to have to use some tickets, and he's going to need to have some class on his side, because there is still a little bit of fitness to come, as you mentioned.
So you mentioned the fact that there's a lot of speed in this race. Who are the sort of key speed influences, and where do you sort of think you've got Kaido on top? Place of Gold's been well supported. We can see the Ladbrokes market mover. Where do these sort of key runners end up in the race?
Yeah, Kaido's an interesting one, because he led his 3 starts in his first preparation, but they've ridden him for a little bit of a sit at the jump outs, and the fact there's a lot of speed today, I wouldn't be surprised if he ends up 2 back and on the fence and needing some luck. But there will be some gaps open, you'd expect, because the tempo does look fast. Rolling Moss only knows one way. He was caught wide last start, but he'll shoot forward from a wide barrier. Vermentino will try and hold a position. Huguenot led at Pakenham last start, and Mel Destro gets to 1200 metres, and he does his best work in easier races, but when he gets to 1200 metres and can bowl along up front. So I think that pressure as well sort of lends to the fact that Place of Gold has had some support. Comes back sharply in trip. It's not generally a setup we see often, 16 back to 1200 metres. Only 3 weeks off, but the tempo will be on for him to storm on.
Horses are moving into the gates. Here's Matt Hill for race number 6.
Eve winning at Ballarat there on Saturday at Ballarat, and then recently at Pakenham on a heavy 8-star. Lee ran second. Third up and improving has Damien Oliver, and a good draw. $5 into 440. $5 into 440 with Bookstar Lee. Third elect waiting its turn with also Galaxy Ruler. Mel Destro takes another turn with Inkslinger and Place of Gold, and also Pocket Change out behind the gates. There's Damien Oliver and Star Lee going in. So they're making a good fist of it over at the 1200 metres. Terrific day of racing at Caulfield on Saturday with the running of the Zipping Classic. The undercard, fascinating races as well, like the Merson Cooper. We see Remedies back at the track after winning at Cranbourne so impressively there a couple of weeks ago. And the Twilight Glow's a terrific race. The Doveton's a fascinating race as well. The Stayers in the Sandown Cup and the Feature Zipping Classic, all to play for there on Saturday at Caulfield. Be the last Caulfield meeting for a while. Now Mel Destro goes in, and to complete the line is Place of Gold to take the outside. Place of Gold going in, and the field is set to run. Favourite drawn 1, ready, racing. Jump the best Vermentino as well, with Star Lee and Rolling Moss and Huguenot not too far away. Also in that group of horses settling down into stride is Kaido, and also not far away Mel Destro. So it's Rolling Moss leading Mel Destro, Huguenot, Vermentino fourth, the inside of Star Lee, 2 lengths Omanika, Kaido, then Galaxy Ruler, who's well back in the field with Pocket Change and Inkslinger. Place of Gold is second last, and Gabstar at the end. Rolling Moss at the 700 metres leading Mel Destro. A length and a half away third Huguenot, and then Vermentino getting a nice passage fourth on the inside of Star Lee. A length and a half Kaido and Omanika, then Pocket Change well back Galaxy Ruler, Place of Gold, Inkslinger, and also Gabstar. They run the corner, 400 metres to go. It's Rolling Moss in front by 2 lengths to Vermentino, who's into the clear in plenty of time, and they were followed by Star Lee, who battles on down the outside and running on. Vermentino at the 250, given its head 2 lengths to Star Lee, and then came Kaido, Pocket Change, Vermentino with 100 metres to go, well clear of Star Lee, Pocket Change, and Vermentino is going to remain undefeated. Vermentino won it well, seconds close, Star Lee or Pocket Change, then Gabstar, Place of Gold, a gap in the field to Kaido. Next to finish across the line then was Rolling Moss, Omanika, Huguenot, Inkslinger, a gap Mel Destro, and the last to complete the course was Galaxy Ruler. Vermentino, Ben Mellon, well, the horse was under a grip at the 300 metres, got out at the right time and sprinted away. And Vermentino, who's 2 from 2, winning an official jump out pretty well at 800 metres, like the 1200 Vermentino. And this gelding by Extreme Choice did it really well with the ears pricked. A nice win by this 4-year-old gelding. Kieran Maher and David Eustace notch up a training double, defeating number 14 Star Lee, Damien Oliver for Matthew Ellerton, just ahead of Pocket Change, Alana Kelly for John Salinitri, and a further photo for fourth. 9, 14 and 3. 9, 14 and 3. The placings to the running of race number 6. But we've unearthed a nice one there. Vermentino to step up to a benchmark 64 after coming off a Hamilton maiden victory in December of last year. And that's been a good display, and winning untouched and remains undefeated. 9.14.3 after the photo for fourth. Number 13, Gab Star gets fourth. Daniel Moore for Cindy Alderson ahead of Place of Gold. 1:11.01 the time. 1:11.01, half a second outside of Kentucky Casanova's class record, albeit held on a good 3. Today we've remained on a soft 5, and it was a comprehensive margin. Those are margins yet to come. 9.14.3 and 13. Nice win. Let's get the appraisal from co-trainer David Eustace now with Brent.
Well, Dave, 2 starts now, 2 wins, but that was very visually impressive. It's not easy for a horse to do that off a long break.
No. As I said prior, you know, we've always thought he's a pretty good horse with a good turn of foot, and he showed that.
The way that he travelled, did that sort of surprise you, how sort of well he was on the back of that strong speed, given he was first up today off a long break?
Not really. He's, you know, he's got a high cruising speed. He's obviously hasn't ran for a while, so he's, you know, a little bit fresh early on. But he then just travelled sweetly, and, you know, he quickened well. So, you know, full credit to the team, Lucy and team at Cranmer, and done a fantastic job with him, because he's taken a bit of time. As I said, he's had niggles, and he's a horse that will take a lot from that mentally, and hopefully pulls up okay. And the owners have been very patient. It's great to get a double on the day in Darren's Thomas's Silks, and managed by Mark Pilkington. They're very, very patient owners. They've been patient with both the horses that won today, which makes life a lot easier for us. And Sonny Roth and many others are in this horse who have been, you know, as I say, patient and shown us a lot of faith, because he's a 4-year-old with only 2 starts, so hopefully he's got a bright future.
And given that he's now a gelding and you've got the opportunity, you're not necessarily going to be rushed by having to chase him to any particular race. Is he the type of horse that'll sort of just pick up through the grades over summer?
Yeah, exactly. It's ideal. He's going to go into the high 60s now, and as you say, we can just poke through the grades, race for really good prize money, and you know, if he stays sound, hopefully he'll be able to string a few together.
Well done.
Thanks.
Well, Ben Melham gets on the board and rides a winner here first up. What did you make of that?
Yeah, he's a lovely horse. Good effort by the stable. He was sort of first up for a long time, and that's what they're good at doing, giving a horse a good solid base and making sure they're right when they come to the races, and he was right today, and he was very good.
You looked to get a lovely run in transit. Did the race pan out as well as you could have hoped?
Yeah, it did. It looked a race where there was good pressure, so in the back of my mind, I did have that, him being first up. So the barrier 1 aided a good run, and the horse has obviously got above average ability, and he showed that today.
Well done.
Thanks.
Well, Dave, there was only one word for that, and that was impressive.
Yeah, we mentioned pre-race that if he's able to win today with some improvement to come off a long break, then they might have a serious horse on their hands. And a serious horse on their hands they do. He's run 1:11.01. Race 5 went 1:11.69, and race 1 1:12 flat. So significantly the fastest of 3 1200-metre races on the day. And he's been able to produce that first up. Got a lovely steer from Ben Melham, who's now striking over 28% for the Mara Eustace stable. And although in terms of the way the race panned out, he was able to track the leader and peel off heels in isolation and let down. So there were some favours in that respect, but there also weren't some favours considering how fast the overall time was and how he's had to do that off a long break, returning gelded. BZ spoke to Dave after the race, and he mentioned they'll take him through the grades. If they're going to take him through the grades, then he is going to win a stack of races this summer. And what he's done today, first up over a year, was so outstanding that I wouldn't be surprised if he's a group horse in time. That was a magnificent win. I thought Pocket Change a good horse to follow as well. He was good. He'll get out over further this preparation. Was good first up over 1200 metres. But Ben Melham, Kieran Maher and Dave Eustace team up to train Vermentino, winner of race 6 at Sandown. And we'll be back after a quick break on racing.com.